This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah. So for today's session, let us continue from where we left off yesterday. Today, let us focus more on interview facing, right? For that, we laid some fundamentals yesterday itself, where we discussed about the how the brain functions and the left brain, right brain aspect of a human, brain, and what are the functionalities of that. So depending on which brain is dominant, those characteristics will be more stronger in you, right? And I made you to take a test, and many of you shared your scores, right? I'm sure that would have given you some good idea about what you are, right? Because majority of the times we are always bothered about what other things are, outside things are. Often we don't get time to spend, or nobody told you to spend time about who you are, what are your strengths, and what are your weak areas, or what are the areas which comes naturally to you, right? So that's the idea that with which I shared that quiz yesterday. I hope that gave you guys some idea, right? So important thing is to reflect on it. My idea was not to force you, saying that all of a sudden you leave engineering and become a journalist, or you should become a photography person or video editing person. No, I'm not saying that, right? So the idea is, even if some of you even ping me later in the evening saying that, sir, I got 50-50, what should I do, right? Should I be proceeding with engineering or not? That's not idea. So the test will give you some kind of indication. Now it's up to you to work towards it. For example, I'm reading another book. There is a book called No Limits. Okay, this is by a guy called Mukesh Bansal. Mukesh Bansal is the founder of Myntra, and currently and anyway, the Myntra was acquired by Flipkart. After that, currently is the founder of CultFit, chains, right? CultFit, CuteFit, EatFit. All of you should be knowing what they're doing, right? So he, in that book, when I read, he says, right, even though you have those natural strengths or preferences, by putting sincere efforts and dedication towards it, you can achieve anything, right? So the spirit is not to pinpoint you and become a journalist from tomorrow, but to give you an idea of who you are. For example, many of you may be struggling with your programming. You may want to know why you are struggling with respect to programming, right? Or some of you, creative activities come naturally to you. In fact, yesterday night I was watching my WhatsApp status. Many students have put wonderful pictures, pencil sketches, right? So those things may be coming out to you naturally. So you should pursue that and see what you can make out of it, right? So that's the idea, right? So coming back to our context of interview facing, right? You may be wondering why I shared that in the interview preparation session, right? Our interview facing section. Okay, let me just open the slide. So this is where we ended yesterday, right? So reflect upon yourself. So what are your strengths? What come naturally to you, and what are your interests, right? So that's what we closed our discussions yesterday, so that you can become successful in whatever the fields that you can choose to do, right? Now, why am I talking about it in an interview facing workshop, right? Or facing interview workshop? Because as we already discussed, assuming that you clear the written test and you proceed to further steps in the interview process, right? The first set of people that you will be meeting will be a technical panel, right? Or people who will be evaluating technically, right? So most likely in the technical panel, you are going to meet an individual who has got left brain dominance, right? So he or she has been good in the technical field and they've done well, and that's the reason why they are in a good position, right? Please note, you becoming an interview panel is also not easy. Suppose a company has got 1,000 people, not all the 1,000 people will become part of the interview panel, right? Maybe some 10 people will become part of interview panel. So which means to say what, somebody need to be really good in their technical activities. Then only they will make them as a part of interview panel, because taking interviews is a very responsible job, right? Nobody can just like that make some mistake and later repent, right? So that's a important consideration any company would give, right? So when you are meeting a left brain person, this is how the preferences of a left brain person, especially in the interview panel perspective, right? Okay. For example, a left brain person likes precise answers. Okay. So they don't like you try to tell long, very descriptive discussions or thing. Whenever there's a question that has been asked, they would expect you to give a precise answer. Suppose if you ask a question, what is a static variable in C, right? And your answer should be static variable is one of the storage classes, explain its scope, explain its default value, and explain about its lifetime. Finished, right? So you should not be dragging like a story, talk about integer, talk about float, talk about double, or talk about character, right? You should not be beating around the bush, right? They want precise and straight answers. The second thing, these left brain people are, right, they're naturally good at problem solving. So they would expect you how well you can solve the problem, right? So because the skill which they hire you, of course, we skill you in a particular area like embedded or IoT or full stack. But when you really go and do a real-time project, right? So the skill that may require you to do the project may be different, right? So, but irrespective of the technology, they would like to see how good you can solve the problem, because every day you have to solve problems of customers, right? So they will check that, and they will check whether you are good in fundamentals or not, right? So this is what they will be checking. And generally, these people who are more left-brain inclined people, dominant people, they are not much emotional. Even if you are taken test yesterday, right? People who got more on the left-hand side dominant, they will not be very emotional people. They will not be able to get along and understand other people's emotions so well, like how a right-brain dominant person can do, right? And then they may not be interested in the personal side of you. Suppose you go to a technical interview, if they ask a question and you start telling some personal answer to you, okay, suppose they ask you a particular question about, let us say, Linux, and then you couldn't answer, and you go and tell them, you know what, yesterday I was feeling feverish, I could not prepare well, and that's the reason I could not answer well. And if you get into that kind of answering, generally these technical people will not like it, right? So it's very important to be very precise and very clear cut with them. Otherwise, they will feel disappointed and reject you, right? So very important about them, right? And what they don't like is beating around the bush, telling long stories, long explanation, and avoiding questions. That means they're asking you one question, but you are giving an answer in a different league, because you want to hide that you don't know the answer, or trying to deviate the discussion, etc. So they don't like that, right? Either overconfidence or easily giving up, they don't want. And generally technical people, they will not entertain any unwanted conversation, either about their personal information or anything about their tenure with the company, and whether you are selected or not, etc. Right? Okay. So generally they don't entertain. So you need to keep this in mind when you are attending the technical interview, because you need to keep the opposite person's perspective, right? If you give if you do everything incorrectly, right? You give a beating around the bush, and you give a very lengthy answers, and there is a chance that very less chances that you may get selected, right? So that's an important thing you need to keep in mind when you are attending a technical interview. In the similar line, if I go to the HR interview, assuming that you clear the technical and you go into the HR interview, right? In HR interview, if you look at, right, yesterday, HR is all about the right brain, right? Because it's all about emotions and relationships, color, etc. Whatever we saw yesterday, right? So if you look at HR people, generally they are more people oriented. So that's why they are given that particular responsibility, right? Their preferences are entirely opposite, I would say, right? So they like a lot of personal aspects, just like the way our technical person don't want to know about personal aspects. These HR people want to know a lot about your personal aspects, including your family, your background. They like a very positive attitude people, and whatever the discussion that we had about extracurricular activities and other things, right? So they really like in the HR interview, right? And what they don't like, okay, negative attitude, or you're trying to be over smart, and you're too bully about salary, right? You're very keen on asking, will salary will come or not? You know, what day salary will be credited? Will salary will come off online transfer or bank, check will you give, right? So if you're too bully on the salary also, they may not like it, right? Okay. 1 second, I'm just coming near to the laptop. Okay. So they don't like any unwanted conversations, right? In terms of, again, personal and other things, too personal things like that. And becoming too casual also they don't like, right? Sometimes what people do is like they take HR interviews very lightly, and they make some statements which they are not supposed to make, right? Okay. So that is also not okay, right? So, for example, long time back, there was an interview, right? One student went and asked, the company asked the question, what is your salary expectation, right? Let me just take some notes now. Okay. Okay. So, what about your salary expectation? And this guy is responding to the HR saying that 15,400 per month. Okay. So this is the type of answer that he gave, right? I asked him, on what basis you are telling me 15,400? Where this 400 came from? He didn't have an answer, right? So these type of answers are very weird, right? You should not be giving such answers while facing interviews, right? You should be as diplomatic or as smart, so that the HR personnel can understand this particular thing better, right? So this is something which you need to take care before you face the interview, right? And other important part before I delve into the other interview aspect is that, right, there are few points that I would like to clarify. There are three questions which I noted on the blue ones, which I noted on during the other class, right? Okay. So Vikram, and there was many other students, even they ping me in WhatsApp, they asked me, so should I be worried if my English is not good, right? Okay. Again, there is always a myth, or there is always a thing saying that, communication skills, okay? Communication skills, right? Similar to how we discussed about the IoT workshop or the line follow robot, what you gone through in the college, right? Basically, the pre-Tipu Sultan times, they start teaching the robot, right? And then they still keep teaching the same thing. Similarly, if I go to the, colleges and then see, they do something called as placement training, and then they will invite some external experts, and then they will make you, they will give you some coaching on spoken English, right? Spoken English. I mean, this spoken English personnel will give you all sort of gyan about how to speak, how not to speak, which words to use, which words not to use, etc., right? Okay. So again, if you see, after attending that particular training, okay, if you see what has happened, okay, the result is nothing. Okay? The result is nothing. Result is nothing, right? So things remain the same, and your things, there is your fear or your doubts in your mind remain the same, right? So rather, let us look into the communication skills from a different perspective, right? In my experience, and also from so much of interaction with our companies, placement companies, I would say communication skills is nothing but confidence. Okay? Communication skills means confidence, which means to say what? If you're confident and you are able to explain the communication, explain your answers in a simple English, that is more than enough. So please note, when you talk about communication skills, you are not talking about, how particular TV anchors are speaking, right? I'm not talking about how Rajdeep Sardesai or how Arnab Goswami, right? India wants to know, right? Or any other journalist that you see, that too these days, from morning to night, you keep hearing so much of debates. Okay, you are not. That is not communication. So that is more of the presentation, the debating, and also keeping the audience engaged, right? So that is often we see them and then say, wow, look at that person's English. How nice he's able to speak, right? And look at my English. This English is not at all good, right? This is the conclusion that we get into, right? So please note, right, we are not preparing you for an interview where you go and apply for a job in Arnab Goswami's company or Rajiv Sardesai's company, right? You're not going to become a journalist, or you're not going to become a TV anchor where you need to talk non-stop, manner with using the right pronunciation, right words. All we are trying to do is we are preparing you for the engineer's job, right? What is the engineer's job? Engineer's job is not to talk, talk, and talk. The engineer's job is to perform a technical responsibility. Okay. The technical responsibility could be embedded firmware development or IoT software development or full stack software development. That's fine. Okay, that is very specific to the role. But at the end of the day, you are supposed to take up certain technical responsibility in which you are going to communicate something to the another person, and the person should be in a position to understand. That's all, right? Suppose I am delivering this workshop, right? Definitely my communication skills are not as good as Rajiv Sardesai. Okay, I cannot speak like Arnab Goswami, or I cannot speak like Pranay Rai, who have been in the journalistic industry for more than 30-35 years. But what I'm trying to do, I'm putting my sincere effort from my side, where whatever I'm communicating, whatever I'm informing to you guys, right, that information is perceived and understood by you to the maximum extent, right? And wherever I feel there can be challenges, I'm using this PPT, I'm using this particular notepad, I'm using the other PPT to announce the winners, and I'm using the quiz. So what I'm doing all this technique to understand, to ensure that you people understand what I'm delivering in the workshop, right? So my opinion, that is communication, right? It's not about whether my English, maybe my English pronunciation is influenced by my mother tongue. That's fine, right? Suppose my mother tongue is Tamil, I speak English. Some of the words I use, definitely it will have Tamil influence. Can I avoid this? Absolutely not. Similarly, some of your mother tongue may be Kannada, your mother tongue may be Malayalam, or any other Hindi for that matter, right? So whenever you are talking, your English will have influence from your mother tongue, right? Should you be bothered about it? Definitely not. Rather than focusing on thinking that, my communication is not good, rather think from the fact that how confidently you are able to tell answers. Because your interview people will be asking you technical questions. They will ask, for example, what is the static variable, right? You don't need to explain like Arnab Goswami. You don't need to explain like Pranay Rai or any other TV anchor for that matter. All you need to do is explain the scope, lifetime, and default value of a static variable. Or somebody is asking what is the object-oriented programming concept, right? You should be able to tell it in a very simple English so that the opposite person can understand. Now the second question comes, right? So then in that case, how can I build my confidence? When I talk about confidence, it is not overconfident, or it is not about underconfidence, right? Basically, it's about answering with the right balance of confidence, right? So you will get confidence, very simple, if you do all the assignments and projects given in your coursework, right? If you do that, automatically your communication skill will go up, right? So in my experience in Nimmerji, I've seen thousands of students, right? Some of them will have a if you grade them as per the so-called communication skills standard, probably they score 2 out of 10, right? They are very simple, very simple guys, and even their voice also will not be very, the tone also will not be very high. They'll be talking in a very neat tone only. But if you go, they do very well, right? They get very good placement companies they are able to crack, right? On the contrary, if you see many students who come and come and meet taken courses in university where their communication skills are excellent. They talk, right? Maybe in terms of communication skills, they score 8 out of 10. But they never they take long time to get selected in a company because their focus is always about talking. They never focus on the technical aspect by doing assignments and projects, right? So my simple answer to all of you, whomever is having asked him the question of communication, did not ask, or some of you may be having in your mind about this particular communication. In my opinion, this spoken English classes and all those business, what has been done in your college, it is a huge myth, right? By giving a 2-day or 3 days of spoken English course, we are not going to change anything, right? Rather, if we focus on improving our technical skills and improving our problem solving skills and making our resume look better, naturally your confidence will go up. And if your confidence will go up, and you will go and express yourself in a very simple way to the interviewer, and the interviewer will select you. In fact, many interview panel members HR people and technical people, and we keep talking. In fact, their communication skills are also not great, right? Okay, you know, many people working in different companies, and you know that some of their communication skills are even poorer than you, but still they are working and they're doing very well in those companies. How? It is not because they're able to talk well, they're able to communicate well. Talking and communication are very different. Please know, right? Talking is just what people do in the morning to evening in the TV, right? But communication is to making sure that the opposite person understands what you're talking. As long as you are able to explain to the opposite person and the opposite person is able to understand what you're telling, I would say you are done with your communication skills. So please take out from your mind that my English is not good, I cannot talk well. As long as you're technically correct, you will get jobs. And I have a lot of examples in Emergy and WSA where people have come with average or very minimal communication skills, but they improved the technical skills very well and they got into very good jobs, right? So my request is not to worry about, don't go and join English coaching center tomorrow. Rather, I would say you spend more time doing your assignments. Instead of doing one project, try to convert into two. If you've done two, convert into three. Only that is going to help you, not joining in fact, many people come and ask me, right, in the time of admission, or some of the parents also keep calling me and asking me, right, why don't you conduct these spoken English classes as a part of your course? Which I know, right, that's not the way in which. Then I ask them, in your college also spoken English classes has happened, has it benefited your son or daughter? They say no. If it is not benefited in your college, how it can benefit if you do it here in Emergy or WSA, right? So the idea is, let us not get too much bogged down by the existing mechanisms. And often I see this spoken English or having a good command over English, people think it is too much, right? People think that is everything, right? That's absolutely not the case. You are not going to do an English job, right? You are not going to do a technical job. Please keep it in mind and express yourself in a very simple and a very opposite person, in such a way that the opposite person can understand you. I think then you will definitely crack an interview, right? Okay. I specifically want to spend some time and answer this question, right? I hope it clarified. Can I get some responses, guys, about the communication skills? Does it clarify your question? Okay, Vikram responded. Okay, Rani, okay, Nibin, Umesh, Asha. Okay, yeah, Payal. Okay. So don't bother if your English is not hi-fi. Okay? Hi-fi English is not required for some other jobs. Okay. All right. Cool. Yes, sir. It's a language, not a skill. Siddhartha is telling, right? Okay. Very good. And tomorrow you may learn any language. Given a chance, you may even learn Japanese also. What's wrong in that, right? Okay. I may learn n number of languages, but am I able to do my technical job, right? We are applying for a technical job. Please keep it in mind, right? Okay. One thing. And other couple of points which I'd like to clarify before we go on, right? Other question is about the Kavin 11 sent me some messages, some message in my WhatsApp. He was a little bit, the way he was asking, he was talking about this core and IT jobs, right? Okay. So let us get some idea about what type of jobs we are targeting. Okay. So let us put like this: what type of jobs we are targeting. Okay. See, what if you look at from your vocabulary, again, this I learned from you people, right? I mean, Emergy students, right? You guys give me vocabulary like this, right? You guys will say something, you would say core job, okay, core job, and then you will say something like IT job, right? Okay. So when I say core job, typically anything an ECE, okay, or a triple E guy want to get into that, you call it as a core job. So see, IT job is something CSC, or even for that matter, any branch students can get it, right? So you will say, for example, IT job, an example could be you go and work in a company like TCS, or you go and work in a company like Wipro or Accenture. Okay. So these type of companies, you call it as this one, right? EIE. Okay. Kiran is okay. To make Kiran happy, I will write electronics and instrumentation, right? So, core job, you will say, for example, companies which are working in more of a semiconductor, networking, telecommunication. So these type of companies, like for example, you talk about Qualcomm, right? Qualcomm, Intel, right? I'll talk about L&T. Okay, L&T may come in different. But I'll come to that. Give me a minute, Nasruddin. Okay, so Qualcomm, Intel, okay, NXP, etc. Okay, Siemens, etc. Right. Sasken. So these type of companies you can call a core job or IT job, right? Okay. So what my understanding is, for example, ultimately there is if you go at just one more level high, okay, the job can be categorized into two. So one is a software job, right, or hardware job. Okay, there is only two categories. Technically speaking, this is more about your understanding. So my understanding is something like either somebody is going to do a job of a software or somebody is going to do a job of a hardware, right, at a high level, right? So definitely all the jobs which are, so which means to say what, if you look at hardware, right, I'll add one more category here. So I'll have hardware jobs. Okay, so hardware jobs also predominantly, easy guys also do, and some of them from AAA or the electronic instrumentation guys will end up doing, right? What type of jobs they do? They do, for example, VLSI design, right? They do board design, okay, and then they do chip design, etc. Right? So definitely, if you ask from Emergis perspective, definitely we are not targeting. So this is not the job which we are targeting. Okay, so forget about that. Now let us come to software, right? So the software again, okay, I would put is categorized into core job and IT job. Okay, we can put like this, right? Okay, so core job, when you say core job, if you see, please note it is also a software job only. Okay, so for example, if you take a company like NXP, they're still working on software, but the software is more of a low-level software, so which you call it as a embedded software or embedded firmware. So rather, I would so core job, we can say embedded software. If you look at IT job, you can say it is more of an application software. Okay. I'm just clarifying so that we are very clear about this, right? So even when I'm targeting in Emergis and Emergis for our embedded system students, okay, in our embedded system and our IoT students, right, we are targeting basically, okay, we are targeting this. Okay, this is what we are targeting for our Emergis students. This is primarily for Emergis students. Okay. So when we talk about application software, that's where your full stack web development come into picture. Web development. So the same thing, for example, your data science, artificial intelligence. Okay, this is what we are targeting for our WSS students, right? So these understanding need to be very clear about what type of jobs we are targeting. For example, for Emergis, we are targeting embedded software job, and for WSA people, we are targeting basically the the software jobs, right, or application software job. Okay. So and then there are some companies are there. I think Nasruddin spoke about L&T, right? Okay. Let us say a company like L&T, or even for that matter a company like Tech Mahindra, or even Sasken for that matter, right? Okay. If you see Sasken, Tech Mahindra, L&T, they do both the type of jobs, right? They do core job, that is a embedded firmware job also, and also application software jobs also. But when they come to hire our students, right? Okay, they will predominantly hire for embedded software positions only, right? They won't hire you in embedded and they'll put you in software, right? That doesn't happen, right? So they are specifically coming. In fact, L&T people mainly who come and hire our students are from the automotive, the medical, embedded system division. So they only come and hire our students, right? Okay. And there are some companies, it'll be really interesting. There are some mid-sized startup company. I just wanted to share one example. There was a company called Sixth Energy. Okay, I think last year they came and hired our students. The Sixth Energy, they actually had two positions, right? They had an embedded system engineer position and they have an application software position. For embedded system position, they hired our Emergis students. For their application development, they hired our WSA student, right? Because they have an IoT. The IoT has got a device side or an embedded side, and also they have a web application and a mobile application. For the embedded side, they hired our emergency student. For the web application side, they hired our WSS student. Okay. So, but the underlying point is, please note, whichever the job you are going to go, whether you call it as embedded software and application software, end of the day, it's a software job. It's not a hardware job. We are not targeting hardware job, right? So the people who are working in this particular industry, right, the embedded software firmware industry, they very well understand our vocabulary, right? The projects that we are doing, the curriculum that we have, and then the methodology that we are actually imparting in new people for your training, right? They are very well aware, right? So please note, often people come with the core job, and core job means it doesn't involve software. Core job means doesn't involve programming. People have a lot of this confusion. Please note, all the core job also requires software, requires programming. Only the thing is, instead of programming in a JavaScript or Java, you're programming in a C programming or assembly, which will be more closer to the hardware. Okay, so this is more about a job market which we are targeting, and the role we are targeting, right? And some company may be purely a semiconductor company, some company may be purely an application company, or some companies may be both, right? It depends on purely how the company is operating. So please be very clear with that. Often, students are sometimes they get selected and they'll come and tell me, sir, they told they'll put me into embedded software. Should I go or not? I said, that's what you've been trained here for. Okay. Then they say, no, sir, it says software. The word software means they'll think something else, right? Okay. So, so that's the whole idea. So please be very clear that, this is a type of jobs that we are targeting. So there's a question here. Will we get the job based on the assembly language, sir? May not be, Mayur. So predominantly our companies which are hiring you people, mainly they are checking your C programming or some extent C++ only, right? You don't need to worry if you do not know assembly, because assembly also is used in a very, very specific, companies are working in assembly. Only for them they may require. That too, they will train you after you join. So they don't expect you to know it before that. Okay. And there is a second question called Dwayne De Silva is asking about some companies hire for testing role. Yes, as I already told you some time back, it's about more like 60, 30 and 10. 60% people go to development, 30% people go to testing, and 10% people go to even field application and all. Yes, so all we ensure is that, okay, in fact, in my subsequent slide, the same question is coming. Our job is to ensure that we put you into, for at least emergency students, we put you into this 2A, that is embedded software, right? Under this, you may have various roles. You may have, for example, you may have a design engineer, okay? Then you may have a development engineer, right? Then you may have a test engineer. Then you have an integration engineer, right? Then you can have a customer on the field application engineer, okay, who goes and demonstrates the product to the customers, and the field application engineer, right? Then you also have these days people who are working with pre-sales, okay, they accompany the commercial thing, right? So the role can be very varied in nature, right? So what is our goal? Our goal is to ensure that all our students get into this category of 2A, right? It is the embedded and IoT students, right? So under the 2A, you have again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So this we cannot, what do you say, guarantee, or we cannot, demand the companies that, when you hire my students, you only give a design engineer job, right? Or you only give a development engineer. My students are not interested in test engineer. So we cannot say that. All we need to ensure is that we get into this particular domain, right? And in case, let us say, you're being put into test engineering or you're being put into integration engineer, I already clarified, I think, in the initial classes, that if you are basically working well and proving your capability with your supervisor and building trust, right? So definitely you can become more reliable resource, and then you can move on to development or design. That's fine. Okay. Some of our students, I'll tell you, last week there was a scenario, right? Okay. There was two students who came and met me, right? Okay. One student number one, okay. He says, big company. I'll not take the company name. Okay. Good salary. Okay. Good salary. Okay. I'll write it in the notepad. Not in the chat. Okay. So I have two students now. Look at the scenario. Okay. scenario is something like this, right? Big company, very good brand, okay, good salary plus, okay, testing job, okay. This is what student number 1 is doing, okay. So what is the result? The result is I am unhappy, okay. Then there's another student who is a small company, okay, and his salary is less salary, okay, because he's a small company, they cannot pay good, but he's doing a development job, okay. What is the result? Okay, I am unhappy, okay. The reason is the big company person sees that, oh wow, look at my classmate, he's doing a development job, so I'm unhappy because I'm getting I'm having everything, but my job is only testing, right? And then this another student see, look at my another friend, he's getting good salary, and even for that matter, he's working in a very big company. Many times I tell my family or something, they don't even know the company name, right? Okay, but what is the reason? Unhappy. So when I discussed with them, I told them, right, this is not the way you need to look at, right? So whenever you are targeting for a job, right, you cannot optimize all the parameters. For example, if you ask a student, right, a guy, if they ask what do you want, what do you prefer, so he will tell something like this. He will say, not in current situation, but generally people may say American salary, okay, Switzerland climate, Chinese food, okay, Indian wife, okay. So he wants best of everything, right? He wants American salary, Switzerland climate, Chinese food, Indian wife, okay. This combination will never work, guys. Please note this combination, not Chinese, okay. So this combination, it's not possible, right? Okay, people are asking Chinese food. No, they're telling. I know there will be some comments on this, okay. But I'm telling you in general, okay, we want best of everything, right? Or even if you say buy a phone, okay, people may say I want to pay, like for example, Micromax price, okay, Apple quality, Apple quality, I need a phone, okay, and all Android features, okay, all Android features, okay. So I cannot make a phone like this. Okay, only you need to make a phone like this, right? Okay. So please note, do not try to optimize. It's something like, for example, big company, good salary, development job. Okay. It may not happen all the time. It means at the same time, right? Okay. And even if it happen, other person will come and tell, you know what, sir, everything is fine, but you know what, my manager is pathetic, right? Okay. My manager is pathetic person. Okay. So there may be some other problem. So what I'm trying to say is, like, at a time, always try to solve one problem, right? What is your current problem? Your current problem is get a job first, right? Whether it is and that job, we are ensuring that it is under this embedded software or firmware for our embedded and IoT students. For our web stack students, it is coming under the full stack web development, right? We are ensuring that. But inside that, once you are go there will be different type of roles are available. So depending on how well you are able to do the job, you can even switch between various roles. That is also absolutely fine, right? It's all about you. So my request is, don't target multiple problems at the same time. You'll not be able to solve. Okay. The summary I'm trying to say is that always try to solve one problem at a time. That way you will have a lot of energy to solve it. You'll have a lot of motivation to solve it. And once you solve it, you'll be happy. But if you're trying to solve 4 problems at a time, it will be very difficult. Your energy level will be less. Even out of 4, you solve 3, your mind always will say, you know what, one problem I did not solve, right? So that's a typical mindset, right? So please don't get into that. My request is, don't think it's a test engineer or integration engineer. Okay, you basically, very well get into that and become anything else. There is a question from Arun. So why people don't want to go in testing profile? Is there a scope if you join a, So I would say, again, the role about a test engineer is also a lot of myths, right? Okay. Yes, I understand in the initial days of testing, people felt that the testing is a, very monotonous job. That's a monotonous job, right? That was the initial understanding when the IT industry started. Okay, IT started in 1990, right? Okay. people thought that testing is a very monotonous job. Somebody will give me a software and I keep doing the same job again and again and again. So my career will not grow. So this was the mindset. People may think that development engineer is something like a guy who is in the train. He's traveling in a first class AC compartment. Okay. So test engineer is something like a general compartment without ticket. So this is the type of mindset somehow we developed over the period of time, right? I have seen many people, okay, some of my own seniors in my corporate life, and also even today I see a lot of people, they joined as a test engineer and they build a very long-term career in test engineering, right? It is very well possible. It is definitely not a monotonous job because a lot of new testing methodologies are coming up, a lot of automation is coming, a lot of programming and coding is coming in terms of Python and things like that, okay? So I would say today's world, there is nothing called development or test. Both of them offer equal opportunity to grow, right? In fact, people who got into testing earlier, they grew faster because there's a less competition. Imagine you are applying for a technical lead position. There are already many people who are crowded in the development, and testing there is no crowd, right? Obviously, the person who is doing a testing will get promoted faster. Okay, now, anyways, people have realized that if you go and see in the countries like US or even Europe, right? People have been test engineer for 35 years in their career, right? So my other point is, right? Don't feel inferior. If somebody uses the word testing, that's really not a good idea, right? You are given a job, you do it, and if you really do a job well as a test engineer, you can grow well in the testing profile itself, okay? And if you're really keen, and you prove yourself in testing, your manager will automatically move you to the development position. In fact, I told in the beginning itself, I myself had done that, right? I started as a test engineer. The initial days I was frustrated. I said, what is this? I feel very monotonous with my job and things like that. But once you start proving yourself and once you establish yourself, definitely you can go places, right? There's absolutely no limit in that. And people have built, people are becoming, for example, there is a role coming up called as a test architect. I don't know whether you've heard these words. Okay, developer, generally you would have heard about solution architect or system architect, okay, in the senior technical people, right? System architect, okay, or even if you would have heard about solution architect. Okay. Similarly, there is a very important role coming up called test architect. Okay, so testing career path is very, very versatile and really good. Okay, so my only request is do not underestimate testing. Okay, testing also offers enough and more opportunities for each one of you, right? And even if you get into testing, doesn't mean that for the remainder of your life you are going to remain in testing. If you want to become a developer, if you prove yourself well in the job, automatically your manager will give you, right? Okay, so please don't have this mindset about testing versus development in your mind. Okay, and in interview answering also you need to be careful. I'll come to that in a few minutes, right? Okay, so that's about the core and IT jobs, the job roles which we discussed, right? Any questions, guys, regarding the job profile, jobs, testing versus development? Is it clear? Does it help you, this discussion? Can you get some responses? Okay. All right. So how should we answer the salary expectations, sir? Just come to that. So what is the percentage of different job roles in a company? That is also interesting question. Okay, what about shortlisting candidates? Okay, so let me answer some more queries here. So in terms of positions, right? I don't see earlier when at least I was managing managing some of the projects in Huawei, we used to have a ratio like this. The ratio is something like 3 development engineers, right? Means the ratio would be 2 test engineers, right? So this is the ratio that we have maintained for a telecom type of projects or embedded telecommunication kind of projects, right? So this is the ratio that we mentioned. Suppose if I am hiring 9 development engineers, I will have basically 3 times, right? 6 test engineers in my team. Okay, so this is a typical 3:2 ratio that what my understanding is. It may vary from company to company and project to project. So what I'm trying to say is generally this is the kind of a proportion you can think in your mind. Okay, out of 5 engineers, 60% would be development and 20% would be 40% would be test engineers, right? Okay. Which designation we mostly get in immersive placement, like in development testing? I think I already clarified. So I can put it something like this, right? Okay, I would put it something like 60, 30, 10, right? 60% based on my understanding, people get into dev. Okay, roughly I'm telling, okay, because it varies from company to company. So around 30% will get into test, 30% of them, and 10% will get into other roles. Other roles include integration, even field testing, etc. Right? So that's more of a percentage-wise distribution, I can say. Almost half of them, more than half of them, are in development, as per my knowledge. Okay. Again, it varies from company to company, but I'm telling overall for the past 6-7 years, if you look at this, is how I would put the Immersive's distribution is, right? Salary expectation, just park that steady. I'll come to that. Okay. Yeah, Mayur is asking. Okay. Another thing is, sir, firstly, how they will shortlist the student by seeing what? Okay, Vikram, I think I already clarified you this particular point, shortlisting. In fact, it's one of the first questions I clarified. It's the algorithm, that is percentage, assignment, or combination, we will not know, right? Okay, all we'll do is we share the data with the company does the shortlisting, and they will not tell what algorithm they are applying. Okay, if you're getting shortlisted, proceed. If they're not getting shortlisted, apply for next company. So it is as simple as that. Okay, so they will not tell you. Okay, why we are getting very few IoT opportunities compared to embedded jobs? Oh my God, Nasruddin, it's a very long, very interesting question. I don't know how do I answer this. If I answer, the time will go. It's already 11:55. Because I have not started my this thing. My slides are also there. So what do we do? Because my slides will take some more time. So maybe we'll extend on Monday, guys. I will answer these questions. Okay. Shall we extend on Monday also? Because I may need a little bit more time, because I need to show you the templates, everything, right? Okay. All right. Okay. We'll do it on Monday and close it. Okay. All right. So let me clarify a few questions, right? Okay. One question. Okay, Nasruddin, let me answer your question of the confusion or this particular question of okay. Okay, let me answer this. So embedded jobs, okay, versus IoT jobs. Okay. Okay. So this is a very interesting question that Nasruddin has brought us. Okay. This is a little tricky one to answer, not a straightforward one. Let me clarify you. Let me give you some idea about the high level, so then we'll come to that, right? Okay. So if you look at this embedded, okay, if you look at the embedded system assets, so what is the embedded is all about? Embedded system, as we all know, okay, I'm building a device. Okay. This device may be, for example, it can be a temperature sensor, it can be a router, it can be a switch, it can be a telecommunication gear, it can be a mobile phone, it could be anything, right? That's actually an embedded system is all about, right? Then let us talk about IoT. Okay. When it's a IoT, it's not only about building a device, okay? Plus, the important aspect is integrate with cloud, then integrate with application. Okay, so this is what we talk about, right? Okay, when I say building a device is also there. Okay, if you look at I'm talking about in general about IoT, right? Okay, and it's not only about a device, right? Today we talk about wearable device, right? You wear a watch and it transmits your health information to the mobile app, right? So I integrate with the cloud, it goes to the cloud, and then it comes to your mobile application. Suppose your heartbeat is beating in a different rhythm, or your BP is high or whatever, right? So this is how the solutions are designed, right? Now, when we are actually building the course, right? When we build this course, so let me put it into three buckets, right? Okay, one is this building a device, integrate with cloud, okay, integrate with application, right? So building a device, obviously it requires embedded skill set, and if you want to integrate with this cloud, this requires basically a computer science. Okay, if you look at I want to build an IoT platform, right? It requires a computer science skill to build a distributed computing, for example, distributed computing. And then integrating a web application, again this can be a mobile app. Mobile app again might involve mobile app might again involve again an Android skill set, right? Okay, so this is the scenario. We have all these three pieces are there with respect to embedded, right? Sorry, IoT. So when we created the course, right? Okay, when we created the course, if we include 1 plus 2 plus 3, right, it will become a 1-year course, right? It will be a very long. If I need to teach you about embedded skill set, I need to teach you about distributed computing, I need to teach you about Android programming. If I put all these three things together, basically it will become a 1-year course, right? So what we did was we said, okay, let us focus less on this part. Let us keep it like more of an integration aspects, right? Okay, but still we keep our course more focused about building a device. That's why if you see, our course is an embedded IoT course. It's not a general IoT course, right? If I say general IoT course, I can run it as a 1-year course, right? Okay. So our focus is on building a device, right? And then our this thing is on, it's more of integration. We teach you about the cloud platform, how to integrate with an AWS cloud and things like that, right? That's our focus. So that's our focus in the course. So indirectly, what I'm telling is, whether you are taken up an embedded system course or you are taken up an IoT course, both of us are targeting towards the same job segment. Please understand this. We are all targeting towards the embedded industry only. I'm not targeting an IoT industry, because IoT industry is a very broad industry. Okay, they may ask you all the skill set in the earth, right? They may ask you to know about big data. They may ask you to know about artificial intelligence. They may ask you to know about data science. In fact, I gave a very big presentation. I will just share you guys in the group. Last year in the IoT show, I specifically spoke about the skills. Now it's like IoT has become a 5 blind man. If you remember, 5 blind people got together and they're describing an elephant, right? One guy is holding onto the trunk and say it looks like a snake. Another guy is holding onto the leg and says it looks like a pillar. Another guy holds onto the ear and it says it looks like a big leaf, right? So everybody explains in their own way, right? So the important part is, even if you are doing an embedded IoT course, right? Okay, we are targeting about the embedded jobs only, right? But there's a slight difference where your role might involve, not only building a device but also integrating the cloud. That's where having those additional skills like Python or things like your cloud platform, etc., might become handy for you, right? So in my opinion, as a student, you should not be really, even if you see our placement companies also, right? It always says ECEP/ECIP, right? Okay. In fact, 80–90% of the companies are common companies, right? Only 10% of the companies we say only only IoT students can apply, right? Rest all the companies, everybody can apply. So my suggestion would be that even though it's an IoT course, you're very well targeting the embedded industry only. And please note, having the additional skills like Python or a cloud platform will come in handy as you move forward, right? Don't see as of today and decide that, oh my God, in that case I would have very well joined embedded course only, why I joined IoT course, etc., etc. Or people may think vice versa, right? Any skill set that you gain in emergency will come in handy. Okay, your first goal should be to land in a job, and then you decide how you wanted to go, whether you want to focus on the IoT side or whether you want to focus on, even if you take embedded, somebody will get into a controller based embedded, somebody may get into non-controller or OS based embedded software. The domain is very vast, right? As of now, my request is focus on your course curriculum and get into a job, right? So that would be my answer. If you still have questions, please ping me offline, okay? Okay, no sir, I'm happy with ECIP. Okay, fine, Nasruddin. There are a couple of questions I'll take and then we will see. How much time span it takes to get one batch selected in companies? I don't know what you mean by batch. The name says Wolverine. I don't understand this question, Wolverine. Maybe you can ping me in the group or ping me offline. I'll clarify. Okay. Parthasarathy, sir, can you mention job profile? While even if you don't know, can you ask companies to tell job profile while applying? We will try that, Partha. Okay, we will ask. In fact, we have standard 7 questions we ask every company. The company website, the company description, salary, academic criteria, skill set, terms and conditions, right? Along with that, we also ask about the job role, right? Some of them will be telling them, some of them will not mention, you know, what I told, right? If you look at, if you go down, right? Okay, for example, this thing, they will mention it as embedded software engineer or embedded firmware engineer. They will not further go because and say whether it's a design engineer, development engineer, they will not tell. They'll say, this is the position I'm hiring for. I have different numbers open. Suppose they say 5 positions I have open, maybe 2 in the design side, 1 in the development side, 1 in the test side, right? But depending on how your student perform, we will fit them into appropriate roles, right? That's what they will tell. They will not openly tell. We try wherever we get that information, especially the bigger organizations, we clearly publish that. Okay, but we are trying as much as possible from the placement team. We are trying, and wherever we are getting the information, we are sharing with you guys. But not all the companies will be open to share that information. They say that the designation is embedded. In that, we can give any role, right? Whatever 4 or 5 are listed, right? Okay, so that's how it works. Wherever it is possible, we are sharing. If you apply for a job in case not shortlisted, will be including in our placement chances 12 or 9 chances. Okay, see Sri, I think I again clarified this. Okay, first of all, we don't count it. Only when you are shortlisted and you are attending the interview, it will be counted. And there also we made a big announcement on the first day itself. Like, please talk to your friends. I'm not sure whether you attended the first day. We are coming out of all this count business. We are telling, after you complete the course, right, you can apply up to 1 year, right? We are not going to ask you whether you got 9 chances, 5 chances, or 12 chances. You can apply for as many opportunities as possible that come across in your way. We will never count. We are coming out of the count. I guess I already clarified in the first. In fact, that's the first announcement I made when we started the Disha session this Monday. Okay, but still, if you anyways, I'll send out a mail also. We are still formulating that placement updated policy document. We'll share it in the group also. If you still have questions, please get back to me. We'll clarify that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Kyle, again, she has the same question. 1 year placement support policy from which batch? So we are considering basically students who joined us from the 2019. That is, students who joined us in the 2019, mid of 2019. We are discussing that point from which batch we need to include them. Anyways, give me some time. I'll be finalizing it shortly, and we'll be publishing it also. I don't think it will be a big problem for your batch. Okay, I'll just confirm it. We're still. That's why I didn't respond to your query also in WhatsApp, which you ping. We'll get back to you. Okay. So that's the thing about the core and IT jobs. Okay. I think we are kind of running out of time. Unfortunately, my quiz also I could not do today because quiz depends on the interview preparation aspects, right? Okay. So what we'll do is we will make Monday as our last class. So we will meet again on Monday 11 a.m. I will run through the remaining interview preparation aspects, and finally we'll go further. I have one quiz also for interview preparation, and I'll show you where you can. Many of them ask where I can find the templates. I'll show you where these templates are stored, so that we can download those resumes and start building them. Okay. So that's all, guys. So thanks for joining. I know today it took more discussion, but it's very important for me. I can cover my syllabus, right? I can even run all the slides in 10 minutes and go. Okay. That's not a that's not a question here. Still, I'm seeing some questions coming up. Sivaraj and Vikram. If a student not good in tomorrow, no class. We will meet on Monday. Okay. Vikram and Shivraj, you can ping me offline. Okay, I think I will answer your queries offline. Okay. Anyways, you have my number. In case if you don't have, you have my WhatsApp. Okay, this is my number. You can WhatsApp me in this number. I will clarify. Okay. So tomorrow no class. So let us resume on. Okay. Resume on Monday, 11 a.m. Okay. I know this took more questions right today, but it's important we clarify rather than rushing and completing the slides. So maybe Monday we will be able to close it. Okay. All right. So let us wrap it up. Maybe few responses. How did you feel today's class? Maybe I'll hear some feedback. How was today's session? Okay. Thank you. Good. Okay. Great. Excellent. Okay. Sujit, Payal. Okay. Sauparnika, Arshita, Rani. Okay. Thanks, guys. Vikram. Okay. Thank you, Mayur. Arun. Okay. Useful. Okay. Your approach is great. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Venkat, Sujal, Ashwini, Uday, Nandri. Nandri, Uday. Vasumati. Thank you. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good Sunday. We will meet you again on Monday, 11 o'clock. Okay. All right. See you.